Good evening. Welcome to this second part of a continuing conversation on the rule of law, rule by men. I'm joined by Mr. Alfred Matapu, who is based in Sweden. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Mawere?
Excellent. We were talking offline, online, and what is your take on the sentiments expressed?
Right. Yes, I read through quite a number of sentiments that some people expressed, but I wasn't quite. What can I say? But all I can say is that because some of them actually rushed onto labeling me a ZANU-PF project simply because I'm expressing my views. I said Chamisa is the leader of MDC, and he is okay as a leader of MDC. But I do not have any confidence and any reasons to say that Chamisa is going to is the best foot forward to remove ZANU-PF. I have no reasons to say that because, in my view, if you are repeating the same mistake over and over again, then you will not be able to, you cannot be the best. So in this case, I'm trying to say that as it is, the only formula that I know Chamisa to be able to do is the election route. The election route, yes, he will win because he is so popular, is liked by more than 95% of Zimbabweans. They will vote him, but ZANU-PF will rig. That we all know. ZANU-PF will steal those elections. Does Chamisa have any other means or any other strategy to then make sure that ZANU goes? What the people of Zimbabwe want is not just to vote someone into power and then he becomes a crybaby. No, the point is we have to have liberation. I'm not blaming Chamisa. I'm not blaming him for anything, but I'm only trying to answer the fact that is he the best foot forward? So I am saying, yes, he has played his part. Yes, if we are going the election route, he is the best because people will vote him. He is popular. People love him. But does he have any other option or alternative strategy to remove ZANU? Because ZANU will not be removed by elections. I say he does not have. Unless, well, maybe I can say I don't know whether he has it, but I doubt very much whether he has it. That's my point.
Okay, so you are saying that somebody must be qualified to be a president.
I mean, it's a combination of factors. It's not just popularity that should qualify you to be a president. Yes, at the end of the day, in a world of democracy, we need popularity more than anything else. Then popularity should then be accompanied by ability, because after being voted in, you should then perform, should then show ability. But if you only have popularity, but without being able to finally score, the ball is there on the touch line, you are given the ball, you kick it, and then the keeper defends it. Then yes, you are very good a start, but you are failing to finish off. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying the people of Zimbabwe are rallying behind him. Instead of turning populism into a score, he is failing to do that. The people are just waiting to say, "You, we voted you." Can you?
Do you agree that democracy is about popularity?
Yeah, democracy is about popularity.
And
But then
should be
it doesn't end there. No. It does not end on popularity. Mugabe was so popular. But he did not practice democracy. Someone might be popular, but
we're not
fails.
we're talking about principles. First, let's deal with the principles without dealing with the personality. Do you agree that democracy itself is not perfect? It has to produce a person who is popular or who is supported by the majority.
Yes.
That's republicanism.
Yes, that's provided.
Require anyone to be qualified or not, because there are no CVs required.
Yes, that's true. That in democracy we need populism. That's perfect. I like that. You have to be popular in order to be selected, but that does not guarantee that you are going to deliver democracy. You can be selected. There might be many reasons for one to be selected or to be popular. You can be popular because of deception. You can be popular because of whatever reasons. There might be a background that, a certain background may help you to become popular. But that does not mean then you are going to deliver. So being popular and
there's no qualification, is it?
Yes.
If I am popular, that should be sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say President Trump is not qualified. If the people have voted in the majority to make him president.
Yes, neither am I saying Chamisa is not qualified. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Chamisa is not qualified.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying he and every Zimbabwean is qualified to be voted in. Now, in addition to that being every Zimbabwean being qualified, you need to be popular. Chamisa is popular. I agree. But what I'm saying is he does not have strategies to finish off and push ZANU-PF. That's all.
Why do you have to go beyond what the Constitution provides for? If he is eligible and qualified in terms of the Constitution, why do you have to say he can't do this, he can't do that when there's freedom?
Yeah. I'm saying he qualified. There is no question about being qualified or not. He is qualified. Secondly, he is popular. Those two fundamentals, I tick that. But I am only saying
he was popular.
He could still be popular. He could still be popular.
That still has to be tested in the future.
Yes. So I'm saying
the last barometer was the last election.
Yes.
So if it was the last barometer and he got the majority of the votes, what else does he require to do that?
No. That's why I'm saying I'm not blaming him. I'm saying I'm not saying he does not win elections. He wins elections. But the people of Zimbabwe at this stage, it should have been enough just to win elections and get in. But faced with the brutal regime that we are facing, which is ZANU-PF will not go by elections. If only we can be able to realize that, then we will find other means, other ways.
You are thinking here about something. Do you agree that the last more than 20 candidates.
Yes.
Yeah. So if there were more than 20 candidates, do you accept that Chamisa was one of them?
I agree.
Yeah. And it was up to the people to vote.
Yes.
Yeah. So if people voted, they like their candidate, who are we to sit here to then attempt to substitute them?
No. We are not qualified to do that. The people choose their own choice. That is perfect. I don't query that. People choose whoever they want. And in 2018, for sure, people made their own choice, just like in the past elections. But then, unless we do not agree that ZANU-PF rigs elections. So the only thing that I'm pointing at right now is the fact that as long as somebody comes to me and says, join us so that we go to 2023 elections and vote for John, I will say that person is supporting ZANU because ZANU will still steal those elections. I want someone who says, no, we are going to change the formula this time and do something that will remove ZANU. That's all I'm trying to say.
What I'm saying is, why should Chamisa be less eligible, in your words?
He is not less eligible when it comes to votes. He only becomes less eligible when it comes to alternative strategies that he should have. He has been leading the MDC.
The people shall govern, the people shall decide. And I see Mr. Lennon Wizi is with us. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mawere. Good evening, Mr. Matapo.
Good evening. I don't seem to see you.
I'm not so sure what is happening to my computer here.
Okay, but we can hear you. So we will trust your voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we are discussing this issue of Chamisa, rule of law, and should Chamisa be less qualified? Let's say people think that Chamisa is the best foot forward. What should buy him? And why should the judgment be used against him when his own colleagues in MDCA say this is what they actually have established a new party?
I would say, I think the most important ingredient is the policies that he's going to sell to the people, the kind of manifesto and the promises that he's going to make to our people as an alternative government in waiting. I think it's about what he promises the people the most that should make him and his party popular. It's not about, I think the misconception with our people, Mr. Mawere, is that this struggle is not about Chamisa as a personality. Chamisa is one of many people within the MDC who are promising an alternative administration different from what ZANU-PF is offering. So I would say it's about the manifesto. It's about the promises, the ideas that he has of what Zimbabwe can be if they are given a chance to run the country. So for me, it's about policy. It's about the ideas that they have. Do they have fresh ideas that can rejuvenate our economy, that can make our lives better? It's about these basics that ZANU-PF has failed to implement. I was reading the constitution of the MDC yesterday, and the MDC is founded on certain principles. There was a convention which they made pointing out to strategic areas where ZANU-PF is failing. And I think if they can deliver that, a corruption-free country, a country where there's no nepotism, a country that respects the rule of law, where principles of democracy are followed, I think that is what can sell the Chamisa brand. That is what can sell the MDC brand. And that is what can make them more popular than what ZANU-PF is offering at the moment.
Okay.
Should I come in?
Yeah, come in.
Okay. Yeah, I think I beg to differ slightly with Lennon. The issue at hand at the moment is not, in my view, it's not about what they promise. There are so many people, so many parties that are promising heaven on earth. So it's not, because we have not yet tested them on exactly what they deliver. That's fine. And the problem at hand is not about failure to get supporters. No, supporters are there.
Yes.
But the biggest problem that we are having is that we give somebody our votes, and after giving somebody our votes, we expect that somebody to be declared winner. He is not declared winner. That means the elections are rigged. After elections have been rigged, what do we do? Do we go for another elections again, which will get rigged, and continue like that? So it is about, at that point, we may promise to bring Jesus on earth, if that was possible. But
Yes.
as long as we cannot remove ZANU for us then to start bringing the Jesus on earth, then we are doing nothing. We can promise the people that they are going to eat.
I thought we can talk about principles, whether we are a nation of laws or a nation ruled by men, by individuals. And in this case, the lessons that if you were to advise Chamisa, Mr. Matab,
Yes.
would you advise him?
Yeah, it depends on exactly what I should advise.
There is a judgment that says one thing,
Okay.
and there is a reality on the ground that may suggest another scenario.
Okay, perfect. Now I know what you mean. If I were to advise him at this stage, at this point in time, regarding, say, the Supreme Court judgment, I have heard so many people saying different things, but that judgment has got bigger repercussions. I know tomorrow people are going to say, no, this has been done by ZANU and so on. Yes, if you don't want to see baboons, don't climb into the mountain. If you go into a mountain, you are likely to meet baboons. I am trying to say that Chamisa is the one to blame for this judgment, because he is the one who played in the hands of ZANU-PF.
No, I assume that is already known.
Yeah, then I want to advise now.
What is the advice?
Yes, then I say, because of that mistake which was done deliberately. Now, where are we? We are faced with a situation where either they comply with the ruling, so that then they can go for that for the extraordinary Congress, or they ignore it. But ignoring it will not succeed, in my view. I know they are arguing that there is a.
I'm saying you are just advising.
Yes,
let's
that's
not-
why.
The
That's why I'm
advice is
saying.
or not.
Yes.
What would your advice?
My advice
Comply
would be for them to comply with the Supreme Court judgment and go for extraordinary Congress.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
And then let's have Lennon, what would be your advice?
I think Chamisa needs to do the right thing, or the MDC as a party. I would want to give an example of the African National Congress in South Africa. It has always been known for consistently following court judgments. It has always, since their time in the liberation struggle, I've read somewhere where consistently Mandela insisted that our courts in South Africa should be respected. And that is why when President Zuma started defying court orders.
No, you are going now beyond what is would you advise him to comply or not? Let's leave it there and then we can go to the next question.
Yeah, of course. So I was saying he needs to continue or he needs to put in place a system that complies with courts, so much that when one day they become a sitting government,
I think the next
it becomes a tradition within MDC.
Your advice is he must comply.
He must comply with all court orders, including this one.
But if he then says this MDC does not relate to the MDC that was before the court, and as such, there are two MDCs. He was elected in 2019 at the Congress, and this is what the people want. What would your advice be?
Yes. Then that would be foolhardy for anybody to believe that, unless we want to follow lies, then we can follow that, and then we'll be fooling ourselves, because if that court judgment does not relate to MDC alliance, why did he appeal? What was the purpose? Can somebody appeal against a case that that does not affect them? I mean, it's neither here nor there, because he appealed against a judgment, against a case that he is now saying it does not affect him. I don't think he is even saying that, but the supporters can say that.
We are saying there is a reality. It may be a disputed issue that was not before the court, whether in truth and fact, MDC Alliance was the participant in the general election.
Yeah.
And Lennon, what is your take? There is a view that has been expressed forcefully that there was MDC on the ballot paper alliance. There was MDCT led by Coupe and the same ballot paper. There was MDC alliance. So in that, against those facts, would you not be persuaded to take cognizance of those facts?
I think that really doesn't have a substantive effect, or that doesn't affect much of the struggle. These are just names that they are fighting over, but the real struggle is being fought within the MDC. So I would say, to me, it really doesn't matter whether it's the MDC-A, the MDC-T. I think what is most important is that the structures that the people of Zimbabwe want to deliver change are already in place. So even if Chamisa starts calling it ZANU-PF or he calls it by another name, as long as these structures can deliver change, I'm not worried about whether the MDC-A or the MDC Alliance, the MDC-T, whatever it is. I'm not so much worried about that, about the political part of it. I mean, the factional fights that they are fighting.
Okay, I mean, and Ms. Matapo, this is a question again, back to further on this. There is this MDC alliance that was not before the court. Should it be bound by the court order? Hello? Mr. Matapo is gone, yeah?
No, I think, maybe something is happening on his end.
Yeah. Do you think the MDC alliance should be bound by an order that affects MDC T?
Well, if you read the MDC Alliance memorandum of understanding, the MOU that they signed, it obviously has an effect to what is going to happen in the alliance, because there is a clause within that MOU that says the person who is in charge of the MDC-T directly becomes the president of the alliance. I think I sent you a copy of that MOU yesterday, and there's a clause to that effect that says whoever is in charge of the MDC-T, the MDC that was led by Morgan Tsvangirai, becomes the president of the MDC Alliance. So what it means politically or effectively is that since Chamisa lost the presidents of the MDC-T at law, Thokozani Kupe can directly dictate whatever then happens in the MDC Alliance at law. And she has the right to approach our courts for further recourse and for legal drafting. So to answer your question directly, I think the court judgment has a direct effect. The court judgment has direct influence into the affairs of the MDC Alliance. And that's for a fact. And sooner or later, MDC Alliance or Chamisa supporters might not want to hear this. But Dr. Kupe can easily now approach the courts. Should Chamisa not comply with that Supreme Court judgment, she can approach the courts to then take further action and get instructions and a court order that gives her the right to exercise MDC constitutional rights.
Okay, so if we look at this reality that has been presented, and there are people here who are also raising issues. He is, and everyone knows that, not people like you, Mr. Mawere, with all due respect, are jealous of Chamisa. And now you are trying to push a narrative that paints Chamisa as a person. We know who is bad in Zimbabwe. So now the attack is on me. And this person is saying, why are you getting involved in this matter? You understand? Somebody said the case being of MDC does not affect MDCA should have been said before the appeal. Allen says, now I see why common Zimbabweans are suffering. Appeal against, by the way, then you are out of order. Then you make a point, why did Chamisa go to Supreme Court to appeal if the ruling did not affect MDC alliance? What is the prospect way forward for Chamisa if he wants to start his own party in resolving and devolving this Supreme Court ruling? Would it weaken his political fortunes? Yes or no? What do you think?
What is the prospect or way forward for Chamisa if he starts his own political party?
Yeah.
I think at a strategic point, from a strategic point of view, it will directly affect Chamisa adversely. People on social media and people like Mkoma George, he's my big brother. There are people on social media who create this Chamisa sensation. I, for one, would want to believe that Chamisa is not that popular in Zimbabwe, especially in rural areas and rural provinces. He does not command the popularity that people seem to give him on social media and on social platforms. Zimbabwe is largely rural and deep in the Bundu and in the villages. He does not command such popularity. To answer your question, Mkoma George, if Chamisa then registers a new political organization, it will take a lot of time for him to rebrand and appeal to the same rural voters to vote for him come 2023. I don't think he will be that popular to the extent of winning an election. Chamisa is riding on the Tsvangirai name. Chamisa is always taken advantage. I think he wants also to make maximum use of the brand that Morgan Tsvangirai built for almost 21 years now. So I'm trying to say this whole idea of him forming a political party has got direct and adverse effect on his political fortunes. So let us be objective enough to look at the Chamisa brand. It's people like you and me who are likely to have access to social media and streaming services on the internet who get to talk about this. But the ordinary voter in Wedza, in Checheche, deep in the villages, do not have access to some of these resources that we end up in some way abusing to think that the man is that popular. Is not.
Okay, we are joined by somebody that Biz. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Is that Biz? There's somebody who has joined.
I think that Mr. Matapo is saying that he wants to come back.
Yeah, let me just punch him in. He has left here. The argument that there's a difference between MDC and MDC alliance has been exhausted. Anyone who wants to remain in the MDC must go to Congress. The MDC alliance can only form a new party called the MDC alliance, which will be a new party. It is hiding behind the finger to call the current MDC a party. Okay.
Oh yes, he's back now.
Hello,
Yes.
Ms. Matap. Sorry, we had lost you.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't know what had happened. Thank you very much for bringing me back.
Okay, and then we have, let me send you a link. That was the link. That was the Tapo. I cannot get in. And now you are in, so the technology works. It will weaken him greatly. He must go to Congress, and if he win, if he believes in his popularity. The brand is not Chamisa, but the MDC brand created by Sekou Wangu Save. Why is Zimbabwe vying for a president who is openly showing his disregard for constitutionalism and the rule of law? The rule of the courts, isn't that a recipe for disaster when what we need is constitution and the rule of law? Mr. Chizonga, whether the judiciary is captured or not, that's a debate for another day. What is important right now is to lead by example and comply with the Supreme Court judgment. A good leader follows the rule of law. Only a dictator thinks is about. It's not rocket science to ascertain what kind of a leader he will become once in office, and that's a cause for concern. ZANU is doing that daily. That is the for you, Mr. Matap.
Yes,
Why
ZANU.
When ZANU PF is already institutional ruled by law, you have so many such instruments.
Yes,
So
ZANU is doing it every day. I agree with the writer, with someone here. ZANU is doing that every day. But is that what we want to copy? Do we want to copy ZANU, or we want to remove ZANU and replace ZANU with something that is totally different? That's what we want. I will just give you an example of Socrates. Socrates was tried for working with the youngsters, and he was sentenced to death. The youngsters said they wanted to come and take him, remove him from prison by force. He refused. He said, laws are created by people and they must be followed. So I have to follow the law. The lawyer said I should die, and let me die. So he died. That's what an honorable person does. We are saying there is no way one can say I'm not going to follow a Supreme Court judgment and twist it. I'm not blaming him, but the problem is he is trying just to do a shortcut, which will not take Zimbabwe anywhere. With his popularity, he has to do the most honorable thing, going for that for the whatever extraordinary Congress, and then he emerges as the whatever, and then they move on. That's it. That's all. That's the option. That's the best option. The best advice I can give is for him. Well, he might think that when we say this, we want him to sink, but he does not have any other option. If he forms another political party, he will lose MPs and councillors. He will lose them, because whoever will follow him will be chucked from parliament, and that becomes a big weakness. So the best way, let him follow the Supreme Court.
Mr. Matapo, we hear you.
Yes.
And who do you represent?
I am representing myself. I am not representing anyone else.
What is your dog in this fight?
My dog in this fight is that I want the people of Zimbabwe to be free. So,
but that's an internal matter in the MDC family.
Yes, that's true. But
Why
you see,
should you care?
yes, political party is a public platform, is not an individual platform. It belongs to the people. It's a people's project. And so,
Yeah, but why not? Right now, there's no threat to the republic because no one is saying Chamisa should be the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
no. I mean, this is we are okay. We are through with blaming ZANU because ZANU, in my vocabulary, ZANU is finished. ZANU is I don't have
Who is finished and who is not?
I'm saying I don't have any hopes in the country being. Yes, I'm saying I do not have any hopes in ZANU PF at all because ZANU failed us from 1980. So ZANU,
yeah.
Yes, so
is it that today, and people are asking, Mr. Matapo, what gives you the moral right to determine or even decide on how the MDC should move forward?
Because it's a public platform. What they do as the main opposition party affects many people. So if it is something, I mean, affecting in the sense that if the MDC wins, gets into power today, then the people of Zimbabwe will rejoice. So that is where many people were putting their hopes. I'm not blaming them, but I'm only giving it as an advice. I'm not blaming them. Some people might think that I am blaming them, but I'm not. But I'm only saying, as a popular opposition, as an opposition for many people, the best way would be this, so that then we can, get our freedom. Otherwise, I'm not blaming them.
Yeah, there is a question here. Why go for another Congress when Kupe already has a party, DCT? Isn't it a moot issue?
Yeah, people would want to philosophize these things which are meant to be simple. While we might want to say this is an academic exercise and it cannot be implemented, the reality is that most of the people who have been given a chance to regroup and go to Congress in 3 months, the party that Kupe has is the party that Nelson Chamisa was fighting for. The court has made a decision and a determination has been made. So I would not want to say if Kupe had their own party and Chamisa had his own party, why then did Chamisa make an appeal to the court? Because Chamisa has an interest in Kupe's party. So the court has made a decision and they've been given an order to go to Congress in the next 3 months. So I'm trying to say that is not a moot issue. That decision can be implemented in a way.
Okay, so if you are an outsider and you are working outside, what are the implications?
I'm sorry, come again.
You are obviously making statements about somebody else's house. That's the MDC. Whichever it is. Right now, the people who went to elections were led by Advocate Chamisa.
Yes.
And they are in parliament because he was the face of the MDC alliance, we are told. So why should third parties be the ones who are at the forefront of discussing this when the issue of ZANU-PF and its relationship with the rule of law is not being discussed openly, transparently. And right now, it looks like many of us are being accused of generating a lot of debt mud on Chamisa, when he's not the only one to have done similar enterprises. How would you respond to people who say, if there's no standard of morality, then anything should go?
Well, Mr. Mawere, I think the MDC is potentially going to be a sitting government, or if they had it their way in 2018, they could be a sitting government administrating the country right now. So I think people like Mr. Matapo, people like me, any Zimbabwean must be interested or must have an appreciation of what is happening in the MDC. If they cannot follow their own constitution internally, if they do these shortcuts, they take these shortcuts, like in this case, do you expect an MDC government in the future to then follow the national constitution? So I'm trying to say, Mr. Mawere, we might be third parties, we might be outsiders, but we must be concerned about how issues are being handled within ZANU-PF, how issues are being handled in Nkosana Moyo's party, because these are alternative governments that might take over power one day. We have and we must have a public interest attitude towards the administration, be it internal, be it corporate governance. These things affect us as citizens every day. These are the people who are going to be running companies. These are people who are going to run the country at some point. So I think I must have a direct interest in these matters, because in one way or the other, they affect us at some point.
Okay, and as we wind up in the last 10 minutes of Mr. Matapo, can you shed some light?
Yes, yes, as I have said before, that obviously our interest is on the fact that we need change, and the hopes of many Zimbabweans were or are still on MDC, and it is MDC that we thought would possibly take us to Canaan. But in the absence of or in the presence of these problems, then we tend to have problems to say, so what is it? And then that is the reason why we come in and try to give some kind of advices. But it's not like we are blaming anybody. I've seen someone saying that, or some other people were saying, no, but these guys had the Congress, Coupe had her own Congress, Chamisa had his own Congress. How are these two Congresses affected by the Supreme Court judgment? Yes, the Supreme Court judgment simply said go back to 2014. It means anything that came after anything that happened afterwards is not considered. So whatever the party which they say they formed in 2019 at a Congress and so on becomes null and void, because that party is coming from a party that was related to MDCT, or it it has got a relationship with MDCT. Therefore, it becomes null and void, whatever happened afterwards. So because of that, people need to be worried and say, okay, so what is the way forward? How do we move forward? And this is why we are here, why we are talking about this. But we don't blame, I personally don't blame Chamisa. I don't blame anyone. I simply say we need a way forward that will deliver Zimbabwe. Otherwise, we are doomed. If we don't do that wholeheartedly, if we don't give advices that are true, and if we don't look at facts as they are, then we are doomed. We are going nowhere. So that's the Zimbabwe in which we are. Let's fight together. Let's think what can only remove ZANU-PF. That's my point.
Okay. And Lennon?
Well, I think I agree with what Mr. Machapo was saying. And I would also want to state that we must develop an attitude that is critical of all our politicians, the ruling party, in the opposition. I think if Chamisa is just given free will to do just about anything that he wants, we might be making the mistake of nursing another young Mugabe. So all our leaders, be it in the opposition and in the ruling party, must get used to an attitude where people are critical of all their actions in the public spaces. That is how we can build. That is how we can build a community that is transparent, that is corruption-free, and all the constitutional values that we tend to talk about every day. I worry every day when I hear young people try to shield Chamisa, when they try to shield Chamisa from criticisms. I am hoping that we develop this attitude of scrutinizing and criticizing objectively our leadership in such a way that the rule of law.
Okay, just hold on, Lennon. Good evening. How are you? Hello? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I just saw your comment in the group. My concern is that all the different laws, constitutions, institutions, and supporting bodies mean nothing without their application. And second, correct application. Zimbabwe's laws, it is a constitution, but the application favors some and is biased towards others. The real question is not about the rule of law, but more about its application and enforcement.
Yes.
Do you believe in what you're saying?
I do believe in what I'm saying.
Where are you now?
I'm based in the United Kingdom currently.
Oh, so you are united in the United Kingdom, but the MDC is divided, and you are dividing it by absenting yourself from the theater.
Lord, one of the things I do believe strongly is that I can understand where some people are coming from when they look at people that are in Zimbabwe and people like ourselves that are in the diaspora. There are so many of us that are in the diaspora and we don't have a united voice. I would love one day for those that are in the diaspora to have a united voice. A lot of us still have our hearts and our souls are still in Zimbabwe, many of us.
Okay. So you believe that there is no problem with the rule of law, but its enforcement.
The thing is, yes, there are some rules, some laws that have been changed to suit different agendas. But on the bigger picture, we have more of a problem with application and enforcement. For example, if we look at our finances in government with the taxes, there's a lot of fraud that goes on. But at the same time, there's laws against different fraud. And none.
Okay. So what do you think you can do in the UK to make Zimbabwe the country of your dream, apart from sharing on the social media platforms?
That is a difficult question. I'll be very honest with you, because I must admit, a lot of actions that we can take from abroad is almost like empty talk. But, however, having said that, there's a lot of people on the ground as well, because a lot of people talk in Zimbabwe and there's no action either.
No, I'm saying, but you as an individual, when you sleep, wake up, are you satisfied that you, the person, has done something to bring smiles to Zimbabweans?
I'm not satisfied. I don't feel I'm doing enough. I'm not active enough. This is the truth. I mean, even now, I was talking recently just a few minutes ago to a friend of mine regarding the issue going on in China at the moment with Africans. And some of the Africans in China are Zimbabweans. And China at the moment is being very racist towards Black Africans that are in China. Some have been kicked out of the hotel rooms. Some have been kicked out of their rented property. They're allowing them into restaurants. They're not allowing them into hotels. They're not allowing them into hospitals. But
don't you believe if you are a general, China is open for you, even if you are black? If you are a vice president of some country and you are a former general, you are welcome in China.
I don't know about former generals. All I know currently at the moment, then, that I have been seeing video evidence, is how the Chinese are treating Africans right now.
So Lennon, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Somebody goes there on a private jet, and they are most welcome to be in China anytime.
But what about the average person that's in China right now that's struggling? That maybe time.
But the average person anyway is average.
No, I'm talking in regards to currently, right now, due to this.
No, I'm saying right now, I'm challenging you on this platform to say, let's start the individual, you, because we sometimes talk in the plural. I can do that, even if it means 50 pounds, to say, let's do something to show the Chinese that we care.
Can I come in there?
Okay.
What do you
I suggest that let's be active citizens than active moguls or tweet professors. That's right, where we just complain and complain.
Yes. Can I come in there?
All right.
Yes. It is a challenge to us as Africans that our brothers and sisters are being abused in China. But when a general like Chiwenga goes to China, he is welcomed by more than two hands. You know, he is a darling of China, simply because Chinese are milking our resources. But what can we do? We cannot take weapons and go and fight China. No. All we can do at this moment in time is to build our. We must.
In Sweden, yes. Yeah, we want to convert the we into the I.
Yes, I'm saying what we can only do as Zimbabweans.
Change the language 1 degree.
Yes.
Just I.
Okay. Yes.
On my
All
2
right.
feet, I stand, and that's what the person in the UK. What is your name anyway? You know, we sometimes we don't know each other. We just barge into WhatsApp groups and we just start fighting.
No, my name is Louis.
Louis, yeah. So yeah, good to meet you, Louis. Yeah. Sometimes we forget to greet each other.
Yes, I am saying what I think is that the best way to solve this problem that we are seeing in China, it's not only China, but otherwise is world over. Our people are being abused. What people of Zimbabwe have to do is to liberate their own country, make it a better country for Zimbabweans, so that we don't go outside. Right
now, I can do something. What did Mahatma Gandhi teach us, Lennon?
Okay, as an individual, sorry, Lennon, as an individual, I am playing my part by just what we are doing now. We are.
So you are using your time to able to provoke for better, for worse, a different of looking at the Zimbabwe problem and the African condition.
Yes.
You're willing to be part of this conversation, to join us so that we can add more voices. They say your voice is your power.
Yes.
Martin Luther King, without a weapon, just using his voice.
Yes.
He was able to convert people on their own.
Yes.
To see the world differently.
Sure, sure.
Mandela, a prisoner, ex-convict, was able to change the world inside a prison.
Yes.
And Leroy is a free man.
I do understand where you're coming from, because I've heard you previously talk about the individual in regards to what am I doing. But sometimes it's very difficult to approach what you do as an individual, because in a sense, when you talk about the individual, you separate the individual from the group. But the reality is, I think the two are coexistent.
No, right now I just called you. I didn't call a group. So Leroy, let's celebrate that you picked up the phone.
True.
And you didn't switch off. No, I'm saying is let's celebrate, because God may take your life the minute before I call you.
That is true.
But let's celebrate that you are alive, then speak as a person. Lennon, do you agree that sometimes we speak as groups?
Yes.
Yeah?
Guidance.
No, that's why if you need guidance, let's keep the conversation. We ambushed you so that we can add some flavor to our conversation.
Okay, fair enough. Because I think we need some guidance in the sense that as an individual, is it going to be, do I look at it as a contribution in terms of, as you said, is it a contribution in terms of time? Is it
whatever contribution you make, you are the change, you are the man in the mirror. When you look at the mirror, you see yourself and you ask yourself, how can I continue to complain day in, day out? And yet, I'm privileged to be somewhere from somewhere.
I think for me, I think it's because I'm somewhere else. And it's like, for example, I'm sure for some people, Zimbabwean citizens that are living in China right now that are having those problems, they're not living in their own land. And same for me.
No, don't talk about the people who don't know. I'm talking about you, the person.
For me, what I believe is that this is not truly my home.
No. I'm saying is if you are there, Lennon, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying the individual should be located outside the social setting or the group. But the mind is deposited not in a group, but in the person. And the property is in the person. And you are the person. Lennon.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah?
And I understand the point you're making. I do get that now.
You are now getting it. So, Lennon,
Yes.
do you accept that sometimes we think of change in abstract terms?
Well, you are definitely right. And people think change will come from, remember what Bob Marley said, that people think change will be brought by some messiah who's going to come from a different world. And yet change begins by doing the small things, like contributing in a discussion like this, having people to listen to your views and how you look at. I'm amazed at how yesterday some of my ideas and what we had as a discussion with Mr. Matapo, we look at reality from totally different lenses. So I think change begins by doing something as small as contributing to a discussion, bringing in your own horizon and how you look at reality, how you interpret issues. And you don't necessarily need to be in the same space or social setting, like you said, to then bring change to our communities and our people. I'm amazed at how sometimes I control things from a very, very far distance. I control people in the village by just sharing my opinions with my grandmother and my people back home. So I think that's part of leadership as young people, and that's part of what change means. And change is not going to come from a big messiah or a big man somewhere else. It's about what we can do as young people and as citizens.
So thank you, Leroy, and let's keep on talking. And nobody's got a solution. If it existed, we would know. You know what COVID exposed, Leroy?
No.
That all the prophets and pastors who pretend to give you hope in life, they can't find this invisible thing.
It did expose them. That is true.
So after the Lord, do you think we should lock up all the prophets? No, I'm joking. That would be too drastic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's always people that are going to be still attracted to those prophets. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's like.
Some people will still follow them. And
Mr. Matapo, that's the COVID is
you are very right. I mean,
that's all we're trying to do, bring laughter to difficult questions.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
One thing with COVID-19 in Zimbabwe is that it has forced them to use to live in the dystopia that they created in Zimbabwe.
All right. And when you say they, count me in, because how can I say they without me? How can they be the us without the I? So I am the us. And I accept responsibility for not playing my part to deliver the promise of a better Zimbabwe. If
My,
the,
my sister half the other day, she was watching a few videos of post-independence. Just as we, 1980, we got independence and interviewed. And it's a fascinating insight when you see the hope that Zimbabweans had at the time for Zimbabwe just, gain independence. There was so much hope. When you look at it now, you almost wish that you could get those same people that were in those interviews and say to them, there's the interview of you. Here's your mind now. What do you think now?
yeah, I think that's a journey from independence to 2020. So thank you. You are in the rule of law and rule by men. We set up the group just to provoke people to come on air, to be visible. And you know what happens? There are people who want to be spectators. There are people who want to hear other voices. They don't want to say anything. And history passes by. And time moves on. And one day you are dead. They will look for your voice. They can't find it on anything of importance. Then you say, I lived a full life.
What I've noticed in some groups sometimes is, yes, you do have spectators. Sometimes for that one individual that inspires. And sometimes it's just something about an individual that can inspire people. And then you'll find those voices that are in the wilderness start coming to the forefront a little bit more.
So in the WhatsApp groups, you know what we are doing? We are generating dictators of the future who have admin rights. These little temple dictators, they acquire, and people are afraid to be removed from a WhatsApp group. Have you ever seen that, Mr. Matab?
Yes, you are very right.
And Lennon, have you ever seen that? That a person sets up
I've been checked out of a lot of groups.
Yeah, sets up a group and is upset with Lennon. Huh?
A bit of insight into the group we in at the moment, the TEDx one. It was started by one of the individuals, and it's about admins, privileges, and before any decisions are made, it has to be made in a democratic fashion as well.
And how do you have democracy when I have admin rights? Imagine I'm the only admin and I die. What happens to the group?
No, it's not just one admin. There's about 6 admins.
No, why do we need 6 when we're all sovereign?
It's just to have
That is where dictatorship comes. Because we have acquiesced to this logic that I am not responsible. Why would I go against the flow?
I can see where you're coming from, because I mean I've said myself even on the group before that democracy, the current democracy in the form that it's in right now is not perfect, because what we do in the current democracy is we elect one man to make decisions for everyone.
And we blame the president, and we have a little president of a WhatsApp group, 250, a country of 257 people.
It doesn't make right. It doesn't sound right to have one individual make decisions.
Then he decides you posted something that is not right. Instead of negotiating with me, he removes me. So
I've seen some people that are unreasonable.
So let's have a next show, the rule of law in a WhatsApp group. Then we hear what Mr. Matapu is saying, that I want to remove ZANU-PF. He doesn't know. There's nothing called ZANU-PF. They are human beings to be criticized.
It's just history, and just if you look at how we've always given power to individuals, whether we go back to Africa.
Not we, that I have accepted to be in a group where I have no rights at all, even to aid my friend. And I have to go to this little dictator. To accommodate my friend.
But WhatsApp does the same thing. WhatsApp dictates all of us because then they can select. And I think WhatsApp.
No, we're not talking about the algorithm. We're talking about human choices. I get into the group, I keep quiet. I get in the group, I'm invited to a show, I run away. You know how many people wanted to kill Mr. Matapo? Just for saying it's not the best foot forward for Zimbabwe. Just expressing his view without ending this man. He's an idiot. I said, come and talk to him. And in the groups, they're still sharing. I said, he is coming on air. Ask him the question.
Yes.
No. People who purport to Misa, when you call them to a public discussion, they don't want. They like to insult a man.
Yeah, you do get people like that there, but it's also about maturity, because I think when you mature enough, you don't say.
So this is about promoting maturity, balance, composure, and compassion. But when I use the remove button, do I care if it was a country and I have removed you? What does it mean?
You've lost your citizenship.
I'm gone. Or I've been in prison. No one hears from me. And the crime I've committed is that I just pissed you off. Can we look to a future where people are afraid to upset me? Where people are afraid to tell me that, Chief, this judgment, do something about it.
It's attached to it. I mean, we did on the very disruptive, and you could sometimes be very rude to other members, and it wasn't instant.
No, whatever it is, if it's my child who is this stubborn, let me find a way to build bridges. If it's your better half, why can't we find each other?
I think building bridges is always, it's one of those things, it's always a two-way street. It requires effort from both ends.
So that's what we want to be talking about. That rule of law requires maturity, requires balance. You can't go to animals and say there is rule of law.
Well, the rule of law, if you want to look at it in how it's applied in Zimbabwe in particular, it's got to do with the fact that, yes, the judicial system should be separate from...
No, we are the people who determine the architecture of the future. Is that correct, Lennon?
Well, definitely, you're right.
Yeah. So let us take ownership. Let us not think one big person with admin rights is the person we are waiting for. What about you? What are you waiting for? Accept yourself. So let's understand the behavior in small groups where you have a roll call. You know how many people participate? 5%, 10%. And they say we have a group. And I don't even know what other people are thinking. But I keep on talking. I keep on posting. And the people are quiet, absorbing all this. They never say cease.
Mr. Mawere,
Yeah.
is it not because I think Zimbabweans are ready to participate in the project of building a better Zimbabwe? I am quite sure there are a lot of Zimbabweans all over the world who want to actively play a role in rebuilding our country. Our WhatsApp administrators in Zimbabwe have not given us enough space to participate in the nation building project. I think
you worry me because you're talking about people who are not there, the ghosts of Zimbabwe. Talk about yourself. Are you satisfied? I can congratulate you for showing up, for even giving up time. Thank you very much. And that's a decision. You know, there's somebody, Mr. Mawere, said that those who insult Mr. Matapo do so because of what he says, not because they support Chamisa. Why should I not defend the right of Mr. Matapo to be obnoxious, to be rebellious? Who am I to dictate what he has to say? When he says it, then I'm offended. I should be the last man defending Mr. Matapo's right to say what he needs to say.
Mr. Mawere, that guy Eustace Kanyemba has got questions about me. Why don't he ask those questions? I can reply. I'm here.
No, he wants to type. He wants to share so that he influences others, not you.
Is it possible that he can join this? We talk over his question.
Talk to Mr. Matapo. I don't have to agree with him, but I don't have to be disagreeable with him. So, Eustace, please, let's not insult the right to speak, forgetting that there are other people, human beings like us, who can't even speak. And we abuse the gift of speaking to insult, not to educate, not to inform. We go to school not to love the teacher. We go to school for knowledge. Knowledge gives you wisdom to solve human problems. Doesn't show where it came from. But once you have it, you think differently. But the moment somebody is afraid to speak because others don't like the way he speaks, why would somebody give me the gift to speak and others deny me what they've not given me?
So it's interesting that as you were talking, it's like I fully grasped the analogy that you're using when you're talking about participation in the groups. And I looked at that in the same way that you're talking about Zimbabwe as a whole, where we have people that are in these groups, you could say, but we're not participating actively.
Yeah, so imagine I do you, Leroy. Then I take it personal against you.
It won't be constructive.
Yeah?
It'll just be, it won't be constructive.
It's a sad day. Lennon, I think you would agree. You don't have to please everybody.
No, that's definitely would be sad.
Yeah? You were saying, Lennon?
No, I was saying my question was going to be, in these WhatsApp groups, you must be able to create an environment that is conducive for a conversation. Do you think in our WhatsApp groups in Zimbabwe, we have created conducive?
I don't know, Lennon. Tell me, let's go to your WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Let's not talk about Zimbabwe. Let's just talk about the human nature, human condition. Even Trump, when he was pissed off with the impeachment, what did he do? Fired all the guys. He is not black. He is not Zimbabwean.
No, anyway, I was trying to point to the fact that sometimes people do not contribute because the environment is not conducive for a free and liberal conversation.
So where is it free? Yes. Where is freedom? So that we go to the address, Lennon. There is no place free with human beings.
In the group that we in, as an experiment, the one time for a short period, what we did was a lot of the members that were in the admin group were some of the loudest voices in the group. So what we did for some time was we backed down to try to allow the people that are at the backbenches to come forward. And for a while, not many people came forward, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but why should this idea that I'm intimidated, let's go to the WhatsApp group and talk about the people who have removed us. We name and shame them that this person never again can he be close to power because we know that his finger is bad news for democracy. How many people who are political actors who don't answer phone calls? Yeah?
Depends. It's hard to someone said maybe he gets 1,001 phone calls, and your phone call is going to be that 1,001 phone call.
No, I'm saying is I'm saying is that's right. But don't be a public servant and you're not subject to public scrutiny.
No, public servants should always be scrutinized, always.
So I think thanks, Leo, we've come to the end of the show. We have gone over by 30 minutes. That's why Lennon has run away, because he is time conscious. So thank you very much if you are listening out there. I see Mkoma Mawe, what is the way forward to the Zimbabwean situation? I believe you have been involved in a controversial court case for a very long time on the SMM issue. Similarly, there is a recent court ruling that brought a lot of controversy again. There has been numerous of those. What is the way forward? Somebody is asking me for the way forward. Mr. Matapu, you know what I say? Like what John said. He says, I walk on untrodden ground.
Yeah.
Every step that I make.
Yeah.
Precedent. I don't know what the future holds. I didn't even know that I was going to talk to Leroy. But here we are. We are talking to him. That is the chemistry of life. The surprise of life. It just tells us how small we are. That we begin the day without knowing how it's going to end and unfold. Let's celebrate the randomness of life. Don't ask me what I don't know. Don't ask me to lead you where I have not been. Because if I was there before you, it's history. And it doesn't help your next step. You could step into a hole. Don't follow me, because I have no one to follow. Just be flexible. Life is more order than we think. We are just playing our different parts. And let's play the best way we can, rather than ask me to know what I'm not privileged to know the next second. Could be my last, the one I'm speaking to you. So what? Other people will remember this day and say this in life, but I'm gone, not to repeat it. So I hope we all can celebrate the life that we don't have, the future that we create every day without knowing its bounds. So thank you very much. We all are privileged to be alive today. Let's not take it for granted, and let's not think that we know what we don't know. Let's not look up to somebody to lead us where he has never been. Because if he was there, why didn't he tell us? Take a helicopter to bring us where he is. But don't trust any man who walks on the same earth you walk, because they also don't know. So when we idolize people, we are undermining our own humanity in order to elevate a person above what was ever intended for him or her. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mawere. Thank you very much, viewers.
Okay.